the 2v2 lane and take advantage of it, because if Whoosh gets a similar situation, confidence up now for King,
yeah,
they're going to look to be repeating.
And if there's a champion that you don't want to have in the hands of a very confident player, it has to be Vayne. You get her anywhere near any semblance of a lead. We saw it last game. Things can get really out of control.
Yeah, it certainly can. He was just waiting out the crowd control, counting spells, as it were, before diving in and exploding Flandre and Beast. Have to see if he can make it work for one more game. That's all they need, Atlas. Overcome their old rivals. And you see, banning away the makings of the Juggernaut already, you have to think this is a first pick Rek'Sai.
Yeah, Rek'Sai has to be the pick here. We'll see what Snake answer with, because Sion is going to be the pick away. Lamb actually looking at the Janna. They do lock that one in. Beast, he needs to take the Rek'Sai.
Yeah, I certainly think that might be the case. Kalista being looked at. We've seen Crystal have some great games on that during the season. Probably not the lane bully that they want against Vayne, though. Vayne quite happy in even the 2v2.
Yeah, well, game 2, of course, the Kalista was dealt with, but you have to think that that was based off that snowball early. And Flandre, again, going to lock away the Maokai.
Yeah, so he's on the heavy initiator coming through there. I actually don't mind the Maokai pickup. I think it's fairly good, but MLXG,
surprise,
just going to be able to lock in. Probably
and the Karthus available as well, if Assassin wants it.
Yeah, Karthus is available. With the likes of Ari and stuff, I still don't think that you take it straight away.
But Barker doesn't play those champions.
Never want to run the risk.
Well,
he
they
does.
do. See whether it does work out. Of course, you did allude to some possible problems there as Barker thinking about taking an Assassin champion into Assassin with this Cho'Gath. It's only a hover for now, as Ella thinking about going back to the Thresh once more. Beast is going to once again lock away the Gragas. And is this the Game 2 team comp all over again? Whoosh, straight back to the Vayne. No worries there. And Fizz for Sky.
I don't think it's going to be a Fizz.
They were going with like pretty quick lock-ins. So I was thinking maybe it might come through. But Sky going back to the very comfortable Aurelia. His most played champion throughout the split. Only half and half as far as the win-loss is concerned. But did play it to great effect in the LSPL. And this is the team that King are looking like, the team that was running over Snake during that LSPL period.
Yeah, it certainly is. And they've got the Azir, they've got the Gragas to be able to push Assassin off the team this time around. Still think that without a Nunu, this team lacks a little bit in damage. Would prefer a Vladimir in the mid lane from Barker.
And he looked great on that champion.
But his champion spells certainly, summoner spells certainly look like he's going for his ear. That will be the lock-in, and I'm real worried for Snake's lineup.
I'm worried for them as well, because MLXG back on comfort. Whoosh back on comfort. Assassin definitely on comfort. Sky now as well. This is the perfect team comp for King.
Yeah, it's like they haven't taken anything away from this series. They stuck with the Urgot. They stuck with the Sejuani. This is a do or die game. And to repeat the same thing, I'm not going to call it insanity, but
madness. It's madness, Spawn.
Yeah, it's not, I guess, real smart is the way I'm going to look at it.
I guess it's not real smart, says Spawn, trying to sugarcoat his words just a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. But Snake, they've put it on hard mode. We'll see whether they can take it through, because if they win this game, they're going to have confidence going into the last one.
Yeah, definitely will. It would be back to the best of one, everything all equal. As we go through the lineups, Rek'Sai versus Gragas, we've seen MLXG repetitively get ahead in this matchup.
Yeah, and early on in the game as well. It's been what we've seen in the last couple of them, and it's been working out for King. Assassin back on the very comfortable Karthus in the mid lane. Probably not wanting to get him 2 kills very, very early on, as Whoosh into Crystal, the Vayne into the Kalista once again.
Yeah, and I think they're completely fine with this bottom lane. Janna Vayne is one of those lanes you never expected to win, but Whoosh is so good mechanically.
Yeah.
Really got to, I don't know if you give him the advantage, but you think he can at least survive.
Yeah, we'll see whether they opt into the 2v2 here as well. I mean, it wasn't something that they went for in the previous series that they decided to go with this one. We do have a slight pause at the beginning of this one, ladies and gentlemen, so we're going to be waiting just a little bit before we get into it. But let's go over the lineups. Let's talk about this 2v2, because do King once again go for a lane swap?
No, because they've got an Aurelia this time. Wants to be dominant in her lane, so you don't lane swap to get... Aurelia is just as an important component in this team as what the Vayne is, because if Aurelia becomes too hard to handle, what that means is they have to either use the Azir ult or the Gragas ult to get Aurelia off the back line, which means that Karthus just flies in there with the flash, able to get on top of everyone, and it's very difficult to push him away. So definitely don't think you lane swap. I think everyone's happy with standard lanes here. Also sets MLXG up for a very good early game, being able to gank the lanes again. And Karthus versus Azir, if there's one thing we've repetitively said about Azir, it's if you have a gank-heavy jungler, you can make him pay levels 1 to level 3 real easy. You just pick up your buffs, you go straight mid. We've seen it time and time again that this combo, the Rek'Sai Karthus, just puts out so much damage in a gank.
And, I mean, that's worked successfully against the likes of Ahri, who is generally pretty good at avoiding a gank, especially with the change to her Orbit Deception, giving her that extra movement speed. Karthus does have so much consistent DPS, and MLXG has shown that he is able to put out so much pressure in the early stages.
Yeah, so I definitely look for them to go towards early lanes. I'm expecting both junglers to get deep vision, and then both laners to go top probably, because Snake probably thinking the same thing, want to dodge the lane swap. But King have just been great at hunting them around.
They have. They've always managed to get exactly the lanes that they want thus far moving in, and they're very early strategy as far as setting up the game is concerned has been strong.
Yeah, it certainly has. With the exception of game 1 where some things went wrong throughout the entirety of the game.
Yeah, that was sort of around the 15-minute mark that things really fell apart for King, though.
Yeah, definitely, but it was never trending uphill, if we put it that way.
That's a good point.
So we'll see whether they can carry over the momentum for game 2. Of course, this is do or die for Snake. This is one of the teams that, heading into playoffs, we were really excited to see how they played. We thought it was their patch with Azir coming back in, Nunu coming back in, that they would really be able to shake things up. But it seems like their old rivals really have them scouted.
Really have them scouted. And I mean, this might have been a different story had Snake been going up against any other team, but King coming through and showing that they still have the confidence against their old LSPL rivals that they did before.
Yeah, and game 1, it was so confusing because King, they didn't have an answer, and even game 2, they really struggled to close it out, but now they're on fire.
They are on fire, and let's get onto the Rift, ladies and gentlemen. And here we are with King versus Snake. King with set point now in this best of 5 against the number 2 seed heading into playoffs in Snake. Snake really have to answer back here, but King with a full lineup of comfort picks.
Yeah, they certainly do. It nearly looks like nothing was banned coming into this game, Atlas. And we'll see exactly what Snake can make happen. They're looking to set up a pick onto Whoosh. This would be very good to start the game. They don't even pull the trigger.
Yeah, they don't even go for anything there. As the ward does go down, Snake are able to kill it. That is very exciting as grouped up King, 4 members.
Once again, they're invading onto a Rek'Sai Karthus. Surely not. I'm having flashbacks.
Having flashbacks as well. It's exactly the same spot. They are going to get that ward in to get vision around that red buff, but Snake, this is very frightening. It's exactly what you mentioned. I mean, it's the same situation.
I honestly can't believe they didn't go for that. With the Ren, Kalista, very good level 1 damage. Karthus, they have the knock-up. Looks like maybe King do want to dodge the 2v2 lane.
Yeah, for something, they are going to opt into a lane swap.
Yeah, they pinged it out. They don't want anything to do with it, so they're happy to throw Sky into the 2v1. That's weird.
That is quite weird. Snake are going to be able to see that there's no one heading towards that bottom side of the map. They do have some deep vision. They are going to spot Vayne heading towards this top lane, going to get pinged out straight away as Flandre sees them there. And Sky heading around is looking just to do some double jungling as Beast going to start off this Gromp, finishes that one, heading over to blue, and we are going to have just a standard lane swap situation.
Yeah, we certainly are. So we'll have to see whether they go for an early dive onto Flandre, try and keep him down as much as possible if that's the tactic. You do think that if they get rid of Maokai early game, then it opens up the mid game very well for Whoosh to take over. And it just looks like they value, not overvalue, because Whoosh has definitely shown that he's worth it this series, but value Whoosh being ahead a lot more than they value Sky being ahead.
Yeah, they're not too worried about it as Assassin dealing with these creeps getting shoved into his turret very early on. Those lay wastes doing some work. Doesn't get the last one, but picks up the majority as level 2's hit by both of these mid laners. Bit of a farm lane situation once again.
Flying
very
packed up. He's left top lane, wants nothing to do with that anymore.
I think he picked up a cheeky Krog there before heading down. MLXG continues the vertical jungle as Beast is going to do the same in kind. 4 members on this bottom side of the map. It is getting pinged out, and they might go for some sort of fast push Snake. See how it does work out. Of course, Whoosh with Lamb able to push up this wave now. And with no one here, Flandre does have teleport available. But you said this last time, probably not wanting to head up there when there's 4 members in this top side as well.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't want to head up there. They've just mirrored it. They've sent all their members bot. Whoosh, he's getting solo experience at the moment, so he's a little bit ahead of Crystal. But equal amount of damage going to be done to the turret. They'll probably just pick up an early dragon.
Yeah, heading over there. Of course, Kalista, even at level 3, going to have plenty of dragon damage and secure with that rend. And with 4 members, we think this one's going to go down relatively easily as Azir still in that mid lane, able to set up in a Sentinel, acting as a pretty decent scout to let them know exactly what's going on. Of course, no vision going to be available for the King lineup, so not going to be able to have vision of that one, but they are going to see that Barker picked up that buff hanging out there in the mid lane as pings now go down. Pink Ward is available there, Prey Seeking going to spot things out. And one thing I want to mention is the fact that MLXG here at this 4.5 minute mark has not made any moves aggressively yet.
No, he certainly hasn't. Hasn't really been able to because Flandre, he just picked up and left early on. We talked about how going into a 2v1 situation really does isolate the mid lane at the moment because the jungler has much more high priority to do. Don't really have the luxury of going for a gank because it means that the top laner can teleport back to the top lane and pick up all of that CS if you do fail the gank. So he's just instead electing to be pretty passive in the early game and just farm up as much as he possibly can. Still has a couple of minutes of a window to where you'll still be able to bully out the Gragas in any kind of engage or skirmish.
And Whoosh has got a pretty hard freeze up here in the top side as well. As you mentioned, solo experience, ahead in farm as well. Of course, unharassed. It's a pseudo 2v2 down here otherwise, but a Beast and Flandre hanging out in this brush, looking to pick up Sky. We're not going to find it as MLXG hangs around at the same time. There is a cheeky ward in that brush, so Snake completely within vision.
Certainly are, and in the end, they're able to get another 3 members down. They're going to shove this wave in, get Sky back on even footing. And this is really good news for King.
Yeah, Crystal able to break the Eye of the Storm with a rend.
Oh, can they shove it out? If this stays frozen for one more wave, Sky's laning time's pretty much over, which is why Aurelia not great. And it has stayed frozen. Sky in a lot of trouble now.
Yeah, and Crystal and Ella, that is perfect positioning. Yeah, exactly right. I mean, how is he supposed to get towards the creep wave?
Yeah, it just doesn't in the end. He has to go back. He's going to have to pick up whatever he can and probably follow around, take some jungle camps. Might even go for a gank in the mid lane as Aurelia, which is just not the position you want to be in. And this is a problem with lane swapping with Aurelia. Instead, they actually send a... That's a better move. So get a shop in early on Whoosh, send Aurelia back to the top lane, and then use the Vayne to break the freeze. Pretty smart, actually, coming through from King.
Yeah, not too bad. Heading into standard lanes. Level 4 Sky as well. So Flandre, of course, missing out on a lot of that experience, and Sky was in range for that. So does have an experience advantage as Flandre is going to be able to pick up some creeps in the mid lane. Yeah,
he picks up some creeps. More importantly, picks up some much-needed experience. We'll be able to go back now, use his teleport to get into the top lane, and we'll be relatively okay against the Aurelia.
Yeah, who's now shoving this wave in as well, so not going to need to worry about overextending on that one as well. Crystal does have the wave in a decent position, but is starting to push back as MLXG hanging around this mid lane. Dragon up in another...
He's level 5.
Yeah, this is ridiculous.
For a double jungle, that's real quick.
Yeah, uses that Q to clear out this wave as well, and almost going to have that Void Rush available. All that extra mobility as Beast came around.
Picks up the little one.
I think he just went for a smite there as well, just so that he could reveal some wards. I like that. Cute. Sort of a free sweeper very early on. Flandre cleans out this wave, but is a level behind. 6 CS means nothing, but the level advantage for an Aurelia, not good news for this Maokai.
Yeah, it certainly isn't, and more importantly, it's just the fact that they're on pretty equal footing in Sky. He gets better with levels, whereas Flandre, he really needs items to get going. Aurelia, with that Q max and one auto attack, E-Max and 1 auto attack.
Yep.
Does a fair amount of magic damage, which means you can't really itemize for just armor, as now it's Whoosh who's freezing this lane because he has the shop. In a 2v2, it's very dangerous for Crystal and Ella to approach or even fight because pretty good trading potential currently out of Whoosh.
Yeah, and he has that build water colors for the sustain as well, so he's happy to sort of relentlessly give these trades a go and then heal back up again.
Yeah, exactly right. Able to get out of there. They can trade within the Eye of the Storm, although a good movement coming from Beast means that that's the second pink ward he's cleared out of that brush. Ella,
Make and bank. Very
frustrated because they went down for about 12 seconds collectively.
Yeah, and it's actually going to be Crystal with a slight CS advantage here. No kills going down just yet.
MLXG, early invade, going to be able to pick up the second round of buffs for himself.
Yeah, grabs the enemy red. Cheeky timing. Of course, he's the one that had the timer on that. He tunnels over and grabs some Krugs.
Grab the Krugs. Oh, might even go for a dive here. I think that's very dangerous because you can expect Beast to want to be on the top side of his jungle to pick up the red buff. Think that he just ults out here, goes, grabs his own red, takes the experience lead as his reward.
He's going to be able to definitely pick that one up. Ooh, Beast hanging around. MLXG looking for him. Actually might want to go for some sort of gank. Sky not quite here just yet as Flandre does have the Twisted Advance to threaten MLXG, but with a level advantage on both sides. And this is level 6 as well, plus a Requiem, yeah. Very dangerous. And his King definitely in a point of sort of power at this stage of the game. Not just because they hit level 6 early, but with level 6 hit for their team members, are they inherently stronger with the ultimates?
I actually think that it's pretty even with the ultimates. Bottom lane probably actually favors the Kalista Thresh with ultimates. Thresh's ulti actually does a really surprising amount of damage when you walk through it the first time. It's really quite bizarre, and then you have the Fate's Call to add all of that additional CC through. The one ultimate that is game-changing for the lanes not mid really is the Karthus one, because it's kind of like that second person coming to gank. So if it's teamed up properly, whoa, as Liam flashes out over the wall. It's a Bizarro invade coming through to get some wards down, probably going to give up the second dragon.
Yeah, it is going to be a lot of consistent damage available here as they do have vision.
Oh, Karthus, he's got flash.
Knock up Ella. Is he going to go for
no
the hero
Beast
suicide
ultimate
play?
still? Just suicide. No, not going to do it.
Is back to the old King ways. A little bit tentative there.
That's fine. They've got the scaling bot lane. They've got the scaling mid lane. They're happy to play for the late game on this one. The scary thing is, though, that Snake, they've shown that they even though they've been losing, probably still have better understanding of what objectives are needed when. The counter to scaling comps has always been to get on top of the dragons early, because that means that you're able to make a clear timer around the game where you can force them to fight you before they would have necessarily liked to. Also means that if it does get to that super late game, no matter how hard your comp scales, if you've got the double amount of the added resources coming through, that's the 12% that goes up with the 5th dragon buff, you're generally in an okay position.
Yeah, and pushing advantage now actually being opted into here for Crystal, picking up that Hurricane. You can see there's a lot of members here towards this top side. Flandre actually flashes out under the turret, does have the ultimate running. They're trying the dive here as MLXG's tanking up this turret. Flandre looks for it. Oh my goodness, the ultimate so close as Sky takes the last bolt. And I don't know how they juggled that so effectively.
Yeah, so able to turret diver Maokai early is very good news coming through from King. Nets them a very good early gold advantage, even though that they're down a turret. And the teleport into mid lane will mean that they'll probably be able to save that one as well.
Yeah, and it's 12 minutes into the game, and that was first blood going down there in favor of Sky. Picks up a Phage, the workings of a Sheen as well. Not wasting any time getting towards this Trinity Force.
Yeah, in my opinion, bought the items the wrong way around. Should have gone a Sheen and then the workings of a Phage, just because the attack speed really isn't what you need. And if we take a look at Sky, he is maxing the E coming through there. So Sheen gives you a lot of surprising burst damage in a couple of auto attack trades. Also means you can last hit creeps with your Q a little bit better, but see how it works out. They're going for the consistent damage as opposed to the burst.
Yeah, there's also the fact that the components of a Phage more useful than the components of a Sheen.
Yeah, much more useful.
So, look, we'll see how it works. Does want to have that Rage passive in order to get out of ganks as well, as Final Hour is popped. Actually, Crystal opting in for this one as Blade of the Ruined King is there. He's going towards Flandre here, who manages to make it in there. Dodges out of the way, he does, but not quite able to do it.
Sky's
as
here
Lucian picks
as well.
this one up, and Sky answering teleport. There's the ult coming through, and Flandre, nothing he can do. Double kill for Whoosh. They do trade for a double kill in the mid lane, as Beast and Barker were able to take down Assassin and MLXG. So even in the end, but the Vayne getting ahead once more. They pick up the outer turret in the mid lane. So Snake answering quite nicely.
Yeah, so Snake answer very well, able to catch 2 members out there in the mid lane. Getting the early turret for the Azir to be able to roam through. Of course, you value the mid turret above all else. Pre-20 minutes into the game, it opens up the whole of the enemy jungle. Not to mention the fact that now top much easier to dive. So probably give the advantage over to Snake. Azir scales just as well as Vayne into the late game.
Yeah, well, it's true. We'll see whether he can make something of it here, as Barker struggled a little bit in the last game on the Azir, but has shown in the past that he's fantastic. Does have double buffs now as well. A CS advantage. Does have the Athenes on Holy Grail to head towards this mid. And Barker, game in your hands, my friend. We'll see whether he can do it. BF Sword completed for Crystal. Going to have a little bit more damage heading into this one. It's one thing that's very difficult was trying to go up against the Duelist of Vayne, who is so frightening, with the Hurricane, which is the AoE item, not going to help you out in that situation.
Yeah, it certainly isn't. And, you know, they tried to bring support through Flandre in there, and it just wasn't enough in the end. Sky was able to match the teleport, which is just very useful. And I guess that is the one thing you will say. No one can really split push with Vayne at the moment. Probably can't even fight Vayne 2v2 at this point, which means that there is a very clear advantage as Flandre goes on an MLXG.
Yeah, Sky is here. Of course, this is Flandre opting into a 1v2 for now, but does have a couple of members of his team collapsing in on this one.
Oh, they've maybe caught Assassin. No, he gets back.
Yep. Not going to happen this time around, as Flandre able to take control of this lane. They are looking to now push this one through. They don't have Kalista there for the consistent turret damage, as Transcendent Blade's going to try and clear out this wave. Flandre continuing on his merry way, pushing this one out. As Beast and Barker may have caught Sky out here. Does have his flash. That's the flash into the body slam there as well, as Sky going to use the Blade Surge. Oh my goodness, that Emperor's Divide making Sky do all sorts of movements around this one, but Void Rush is going to deter the King members, the Snake members, sorry, from pursuing this one any further.
Do King want to fight? They don't. They elect against it. So Sky may be a little bit too low. Gets a lot of his health back through that Heat 10 style and his Q being able to stack it up. Of course, applies on hit.
Yep, not too bad.
Fun fact for you, if you want to quickly CS and you need some health back.
Not too bad at all. Of course, Blade Surge just in general, pretty good for clearing out of anyway.
Are they
but
in range?
They're looking for something here as MLXG wants to find a knock-up. Crystal still just milling about here in the mid lane. This is not where the Kalista wants to be. Might be pincered.
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
Crystal's map movements in this whole series really need to be questioned. Just take shortcuts when shortcuts really aren't needed.
It's quite interesting. Snake's still with an advantage as far as the gold is concerned, but you just have a feeling that King know what they want to do a little bit more. They're dictating the pace of this game, despite the fact that they haven't taken a tower yet.
Yeah, so it's a standing gold. So it's relatively even for the fact that 2 turrets have gone over for Snake. The real advantage they have currently is the fact that Dragon is firmly in their favor, and they're going to be able to pick up another one because Whoosh as well as Sky are back in base. So this will be the 3rd Dragon by 16 minutes, which is really good news for them. Not really the gold advantage that they were looking for, but they've got a very decisive win condition here if they keep accelerating the pace of the game.
Whoa, that Skittle almost managing to take it down. Of course, not going to combat the damage potential of a Rend that has been stacked for that long on the Dragon. And that is going to be the 3rd for Snake.
And Barker once again going for the Luden's Echo. Even when he's ahead, likes that item pickup on the Azir. I'm not so sure about it, Atlas. He's one of 2 damage threats. If he ever dies early, it's not going to be good news. We saw that in Game 2, I believe.
I guess he assumes that he needs to get the damage down and get it down fast.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what Luden's Echo does, but the consistent threat of an Azir is just something that I don't think that you can really equal out with that item, not to mention the fact that there's so many things that you want to be able to dodge. If there is a surprising gap close that comes through, you can keep yourself safe. Requiem, if you win the end of a team fight, as Assassin now in a lot of trouble.
He's in so much trouble. Righteous Glory going to get popped as there's the twisted advance. Assassin just getting thrown around.
Takes the CS.
Yep, Flandre going to pick up the kill on that one. Not going to use his Requiem as Assassin. No point. but of course did manage to clear out an entire creep wave, and this outer turret may not actually fall.
Yeah, probably won't fall. Sky still has the ability to jump up there with Assassin as soon as Assassin respawns in about 18 seconds. I was going to say they can also have Rek'Sai join them, but that's no longer an option as he goes in there. So, yep, definitely going to pick up the last outer turret. And finally, Snake with a very, I guess, healthy lead for this point in the game. It's 1,000 gold only, but wow, MLXG, you need to be careful.
Yeah, it's almost weird that he sort of altered there and then gets a little bit caught out by these Snake members. Sentinel going to spot a few people out.
So it's 1,000 gold, but more importantly is that 3 dragons. They've equaled up the kills, so a very close game coming through here.
Yeah.
And just when you thought that Snake were out, they're starting to fight back.
Yeah, they're figuring something out here, Spawn, as Vampiric Scepter is completed by Crystal. Almost has the Bloodthirster available at much quicker timing than he did in his previous Kalista game this series. But you have to think, with the Aurelia here against the Maokai, who's sort of hitting his mid-game power spike now, no Trinity Force just yet. Sky just going to go back and pick that one up. Are King just waiting for their moment here this game?
Yeah, well, they're certainly going to have a point in the game where Karthus, Aurelia, and Vayne completely outscale the opponent. So they definitely are looking for something like that. However, that's not for another 20 minutes. So Flandre is going to be able to get into that mid-game tank. He's gone the Righteous Glory build, not going for any scaling with something like a roll, which we just see is completely out of the meta at the moment. As well as the fact that Kalista, she has one of the cheapest 2-item spikes coming through. Throw in the fact that that sting is already being completed for Baka. He's ready to go in these brawls.
Yeah.
They have a very good mid-game composition out of Snake at the moment as Sky takes a trade that he maybe doesn't want.
Yeah, Crystal actually getting very aggressive. Transcendent Blaze just to clear out the wave and deter Crystal from going any further. But Assassin was waiting there. They may have been able to catch him with a Wall of Pain, but not deciding to go too aggressive, which has been the MO here for King so far.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't in Game 3, though. You have to really say that they stepped it up in that game, and we'll see exactly what can come out here as Snake, they're starting to clear vision around this Dragon. It's about 3 minutes away, but they still want to prep it nice and early, make sure that they're in control of that one.
Well, if they pick up the 4th, I mean, they're 3 towers to nothing, 3 dragons to nothing, 3 kills to 3, lots of 3s. They're certainly in control when it comes to these map objectives.
Yeah, they certainly are, and now it's what they do with it. Are they able to force advantageous fights because they have a clear win condition? Do King choose to fight at the 4th? Are they willing to go the 50-50 smite for the 5th and then try and win the fight off the back of that? Ball really in King's Park now because Snake, they're the ones that have been proactive and forced the play.
Well, Flandre continuing to push out this top wave. They have managed to take that outer turret, of course, previously. And Kalista and Thresh still hanging out in this bottom lane. So both of these teams have been wanting to play this laning phase for a very long time in all of these games.
They certainly have. In top lane, Flandre actually got Sky's ultimate out and had a very good trade. With now the makings of a Frozen Heart coming through, is able to get the better of the Aurelia player.
Which is very interesting. I mean, you were talking about the fact that, you know, Trinity Force coming through, very, very big spike here for Aurelia, but Flandre able to weather that storm quite nicely.
It's weird because Aurelia's power spike against tanks isn't Trinity Force.
Oh, okay.
It's the first defensive item. If she grabs a Spirit Visage against 2 items onto the Maokai, will be in a very good position. Against AD carries, she turns into kind of an assassin after the first item pickup. It's why you see sometimes people throw a couple of extra points even in the queue to make sure that they're able to get the double dive onto the backline before they start maxing the W. Of course, that's great for consistent damage, but with the mobility creep that came through, it's just very hard to get multiple auto attacks off on people in team fights.
Well, we'll see what does happen. Luden's Echo completed by Barker. Does have that
He's
one.
real strong at the moment.
He is real strong at the moment. Crystal has Berserker's Greaves plus his 2-item spike in that Hurricane and the Bloodthirster. So he's fight ready as well. Righteous Glory and Flandre hasn't been back just recently, but has a bit of gold. Might be able to buy, you know, a couple of cloth armors there, some casual cloth armors. Beast with his Sightstone and Cinderhulk going towards that Frozen Heart now as well. But there are some item spikes here, especially for the mid laner and AD carry of Snake, that they can ride home about. Dragon up the 4th time this game.
Teleport coming through early. This is where they fight.
Yeah, Flandre actually getting aggressed on here by MLXG, but look at all of the damage from Barker. That is already the Rek'Sai at half health. Doesn't have Void Rush in order to get back into the fight if he decides to back away. Snake, they do have the movement speed buff from that Rift Scuttler, which they are definitely utilizing currently.
They give up 4th Dragon. MLXG, he might go for a steal. I don't think he's going to.
How can you?
Trade it for the mid lane turret, and 4th Dragon goes down.
Yeah, 4th Dragon.
Oh, wow, Barker.
Barker is in a very uncomfortable position. Nice wall there, as well as everyone getting bounced around. My goodness, MLXG jumped up and down about 15 times there during that one and gets caught out. Barker with an interesting bait play that looked like it was sort of a misstep, but tended to work out in their favor as the Emperor's Divide used as a bouncing castle.
Very nice casting, Atlas, going through there, because that was not a bait play. That was a complete brain fade coming through from Barker. And in the end, it just ended to work out because of a great positioning of an ultimate.
Isn't that what a bait is?
A bait is when you deliberately do it.
Yeah, but you've got to, it's just the bait's so good that even you, as an analyst, thought that he'd messed up.
Yep, potentially.
Yep. That's what I'm throwing it out for.
Or Sky could have just flashed over the wall and probably killed him.
Didn't happen, though.
Didn't. You were correct.
It's always good to give them the benefit of the doubt. But Assassin going to be able to take down a pink ward. Of course, it's not the end of the world losing MLXG, but he's not having the performance that he's normally had. Normally, it's a far bigger number there in the first column for this Rek'Sai. 0, 2, and 1 now, but still farming up a Storm. Comparison Beast. 0, 0, and 3, much better performance. He has sort of seen himself pick up a few more deaths this stage. So this game, what it's very, very different to is the second game, which is very similar as far as these comps were concerned.
Yeah, it certainly is, because the early kills didn't go over to Karthus, and you have to say that Assassin hasn't had the same impact as what Barker's had, even in that last fight where he was seemingly caught out, as you aptly pointed out. Could have been a bait. He was able to turn around because he's got the damage to be able to throw back, and his ultimate just very impactful. Instead, we haven't really seen an impactful Requiem at this point of the game, and MLXG, he actually picks up the blue buff for himself.
Yeah, stealing that one away from Assassin. Assassin, of course, probably just wanted to head back to that mid lane, continue farming. Barker with a fantastic score yet again. 2, 0, and 2. Not going too badly. Most of the deaths being on Flandre this time, and it's probably fine that it's on the tank. They continue, King continues to think that Flandre is a target that they can prey on, and that's only going to get worse and worse as this game continues.
Certainly isn't. The one thing we will say, as soon as that last Whisper comes through, Flandre no longer a tank, because Vayne going to be able to shred through any armor that he has, be able to use those Silver Bolt procs to take him down relatively quickly. Still has a low base health pool.
Yep.
Because he hasn't really gone that tanky build, only about 2,300 health coming through there for Flandre, so isn't the huge super tank that we're used to seeing in the late game Maokais, but he's definitely on his way there. 2-2-0, especially with the amount of pressure that was put on him early game, is a good start as wow.
Barker able to chew through Lamb, but not quite going to be able to secure the kill here. That burst damage coming through with the Luden's Echo is ridiculous.
Yeah, certainly was impressive. And now MLXG, he's trying to zone. It's all about vision around the Baron at the moment, although they need to make sure they don't overcommit. Sky still hasn't got teleport. Flandre has his available. That would just be devastating news if Flandre was able to get one of his flanks into the backline. CC up whoosh. Only 2,000 gold-ish, but you feel this game on a complete knife edge.
Well, it's really true. And the thing that I want to look at is the fact that Crystal, instead of being 2 items behind at this stage, is currently very even with Whoosh.
Yeah, it certainly is. Whoosh is just behind in gold at the moment. Impact-wise, in an AoE teamfight, Crystal going to have a much better time. Whoosh in the 1v1 scenarios where he's got a tank diving will be able to deal much better than what Crystal will be at the moment. But it just all depends on the execution, Atlas. If they go way too heavy dive onto the Vayne, you feel that Whoosh might be able to get some work done. In saying that, if everyone stacks up, Crystal might be able to have a field day. It really depends how these fights turn out, which is probably why neither team really wants to fight currently.
Yeah, well, either team is trying to orchestrate a fight that's in their favor as well, and when it's so positionally based, when they're both aiming for very different opportunities here on the map, it becomes very difficult for either of them to really opt into a situation because they're both looking for their ideal fight, which is the opposite to what the other team is.
Yeah, exactly right. So we'll have to see how it works out. We actually see Rek'Sai going into the bottom lane, trying to get some control over the Dragon. That is up in a minute. They need to get Whoosh back. They need to pick up the last Whisper. Might even look to get level 16 onto Karthus. No, he's only halfway through.
Oh, this is very interesting, though. We do have Whoosh finishing off that last Whisper. Crystal's going back. He's got one as well. Both of these teams probably feeling like, yes, we've got power spikes right now, but they're both evening up yet again. Flandre attacking MLXG, who doesn't do any damage back, but does secure the Rift Skull.
Yeah, so that's what the battle was all about. That permanent vision
40
for
seconds.
a minute and a half. 40 seconds coming through for the Dragon, as you so aptly pointed out. Finally control of the area over to King. But as soon as Snake approach, you feel that that reverses. King need to look for the perfect engage.
Yeah, Sky thinking that he might have caught Flandre out here just a little bit. Beast is hanging around. Snake are very split here with 20 seconds available. Flandre going aggressive as that was the Void Rush, in fact, getting cancelled here by MLXG.
There was a teleport that got cancelled coming through from Assassin. He actually got caught a tiny bit and took a little bit of his health from Barker as well. Sky, he's trying to zone out Flandre. Don't know if it's working.
Yeah, Beast is here. There's the explosive cast getting Assassin away from his carries here as Ella comes in. Liam's just going to get deleted. No, not quite, as there's the Emperor's Divide. Flandre walking through unhindered as Assassin now getting a lot of AoE down. Flandre is going to fall. MLXG going to fall on the backside as well. Assassin going to die. Oh my goodness, Whoosh just evaporates as Crystal gets his rend out and the Fate's Call comes through. Sky now coming down, and I don't know where Crystal went, but he just bounced about that fight, and they score the ace for 1.
And they get the 5th Dragon, probably the Baron as well, Atlas, if they hightail it there right now. What a team fight for Snake. They pick up a 4,000 gold lead, and now everything is in their favor.
Yep, 5 Dragons. Baron going to be on the way as well, and Snake, this is the lead that they were hanging out for. Now they can just use their Snake play style and finish out this game. We're pretty confident that they'll be able to do that, but we'll see whether King, with their sort of newfound strategic edge towards this later stage of the game, and with a scaling team comp, can hang on. But it's looking very, very difficult because that was a brilliant lead now gained for Snake.
Yeah, it certainly was. Just a superb team fight coming through. Wherever they needed the gold, it is currently Flandre. He's behind a little bit. But wow, if you look in the mid lane, a Death Cap, Luden's Echo, that's a 4-item Azir. Barker, much better performance this time around. 100% kill participation, really has been that carry for his team. Crystal also stepping up. We said that he needed to. Whoosh was having the better end of this series by a long way. Now, no longer the case. Crystal, 2-1-4. Definitely in a position to be able to help carry this game.
Yeah, and he was bouncing around that fight beautifully there as well. Now has a Spectre's Cowl, not going to be taking too much damage from the guaranteed Requiems that are going to be coming through. Have to think Banshee's Veil is going to be opted into, and Snake just destroying these turrets as they make their way around the map. Really clawing their way through to a pretty decent gold lead. As Flandre going to start off this inner turret in the bottom lane, and the rest of the Snake lineup just going to rotate down. As long as they have Crystal, they are going to be able to take this one out, and you can see that is just melting to this 3-item Kalista.
And as long as they don't go for a Game 3-esque dive, Atlas, you feel that they can just chunk their way through these turrets with the added structure damage they have.
Oh my goodness, that poke damage from Barker. That was insane. That's going to mean the inhibitor turret falls down. Sky actually getting death sentence into the team. Just explodes. Assassin now getting ignited up. No, that's just Dragon 5 as Ella gets fate called in there just to zone them away from the inhibitor. And Snake, this is the type of decisive play that we're used to from them.
Yeah, it certainly is. They're walking through the base onto the turret. They will be able to absolutely wreck that. Onto the second inhibitor. They probably just play this one slow, to be honest. They can move into the top lane with 5th Dragon and Baron still available and just take all 3 inhibs.
So that 5th Dragon has now netted them 2 inhibitors, 4 turrets, probably 5 turrets, a Baron, all off 1 team fight.
Yeah, exactly right. So the 1 team fight went through. They're able to pick up the last outer. They will now back away. Teleport coming through from Scribe.
Oh my gosh, look at the Sun turret doing so much work, as well as all the Sand Soldiers. Liam has to go back. Assassin tanking up the Sun turret relatively easily there, as well as MLXG looking to try and go on the offensive here. Barker gets his back stopped. He's now in no man's land.
Yeah, he certainly is, but MLXG won't be able to catch him. Still a lot of mobility that comes out of Azir. So that was all for naught. And wow, Snake, 10,000 gold the advantage nearly.
Yeah, that is 10,000 gold stretched out from, I think they had a 1,000 gold lead about 4 minutes ago. That is some pretty decisive play coming through from our second place LPL team. Really beautiful stuff. And this is when they're right on the line as well. This is a team that has just played 2 pretty awful games if you were sitting in their chairs, because wasn't really looking like Snake were in it at all in the last couple of games. But this game, managing to turn around what was a difficult situation moving forward.
Yeah, it certainly does look to be that way. And more importantly, what the gold leaders meant. Another needlessly large rod finished up. That Banshee's Veil that we were saying is so important for Crystal now coming through. Not to mention the fact that Flandre all of a sudden is a tanky monster with Beast. They're just going to be able to waltz into this base, wait until minions are pushing in, and be able to take it out.
Yep, cheeky little teleport coming through, as well as Flandre has the home guards. He's able to get some extra speed. Barker, love tap onto MLXG, and they're going to be able to take down the final inhibitor.
Right now.
There's the ultimate to come down. MLXG bouncing around this one. Can't quite get in there as Assassin from the backside trying to get some layways out. But you can see Sky, he's not a tank in this fight at all. Liam, he gets bounced around. It's a decent Monsoon to get them back in, but that's going to mean Assassin's dead. Able to get a lot of death to fight damage through, but Crystal just life steals up. Beast is going to die, but it's a 2-for-1. And Snake, they've got super creeps heading into this base. They're going to be able to take down the Nexus turrets, and Snake, they're going to make this one a tied up 2-2 series going to Game 5.
Game 5 between King and Snake coming up. Snake, a dominating performance. We said that they had a better understanding throughout the entirety of the season of what objectives they needed to take
Precisely.
next. And that is exactly what won them that game.
It was really beautiful. That was all off one team fight as well. This is something that we've criticized King for. They win fights beautifully, and then they don't really manage to take the objectives afterwards. That was the perfect example of what you can do when you win a fight in the mid-game, and it was beautifully done. And of course, they did have the opportunity to pick up a 5th Dragon, which does make a whole lot of the rest of the stuff pretty easy, but really beautiful play coming through from Snake, and we'll see whether they can carry it through. They've got the momentum now heading into Game 5.
Yeah, but the thing is that they forced King to fight them. There was no way King could walk away from that fight. That's what Snake has done well, is that they set up a game plan that they understood they had an earlier game comp. King weren't ever willing to commit to one of those Dragon fights, and as soon as 5th Dragon hit, they weren't far enough through the game. It was only 28 minutes for their scaling comp, and then Snake just ran away with it.
They certainly did. They were running away with it very quickly. But ladies and gentlemen, Game 5 is going to be coming up after the break. Snake, see whether they can carry through the momentum, and King looking to keep their hopes alive here in the playoffs.